If you want an anti-war movie and an anti-war message, there's never been a better one than All Quiet on the Western Front, because it's the upper command that is out of touch with reality. These leaders who are stubborn and don't seem to be concerned with the lives of the men that are fighting for them.
The captain told the soldier to get up the ladder.
Yeah, immediately one of them gets shot in the head. Private Ryan starts the same way. As soon as the door goes down, the bullets start flying. You just see people dying immediately.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, you're right away immersed into this unapologetic violence.
You know, this was a time when patriotism was it was the most important thing. He wanted to fight for his country so badly that he would even, write down his father's name so that he could go there.
They're very lucky to be in this generation. That's how they sold the propaganda to these little kids.
It was banned in Germany. It was banned by Hitler. So if you need an endorsement for your movie, if it's banned by Hitler and the Nazis, then it's probably a pretty good movie. Unending. The entire war on the Western Front, they barely moved in 4 years. That was why it was so tragic and unnecessary.
Oh, for 4 years, nothing was gained, nothing was lost.
Yeah, they basically just stayed in these trenches. They moved a few hundred yards here and there, and that's it.
Wow.
So this battle at the end, what are you gaining? You're gaining nothing. You're just killing more people for no reason.
Wow. Yeah, somebody finally said, okay, this has to stop.
Yeah.
Because we're not gaining or losing, let's just call it quits, right?
Well, see, the Americans joined the fight. The Americans are landing like 250,000 soldiers a month. It was obvious, like, you're just going to get destroyed. We're going to kill every German if you don't stop. So the Germans had to surrender.
What was the reason why the armistice didn't happen right away?
They were trying to agree on terms, right? And the French general is just so callous and not willing to bend at all. And the Germans are like, we can't accept these terms. These terms that they're trying to give us are going to destroy our country. He wouldn't back down. He was like, when they said something about fairness, and he said, you speak to me about fairness? And that was it. They had to accept it. They had no other choice, or more people were going to die.
Right.
The Treaty of Versailles was so punitive, and it ended up crippling the German nation, which many people at the time was like, well, good, they deserve it. They did this, they started this. It's a movie that criticizes the bad leadership. It led to World War II. Because they were not gracious in victory, it ended up creating a system where Hitler came to power, and we had another war that could have been avoided if they would have looked down the road and thought, the war's over now, we need to go back to peacetime, and we need to treat people with dignity. But they couldn't do that. And because they didn't do that, or they weren't wise, and they let their emotions affect their thinking, we had another war where more and more people were going to die. This was based on a novel. All Quiet on the Western Front was a German novel. It was made into a movie in 1930, but it was an American production, right? It was a Hollywood production. This new one, this 2022, was a German production. It's a universal thing too. So that's the thing, is that even though it's from the German side, and we've always thought of them as the enemy, right? It's so personal that you, even if you're not German, identify with how they feel. That this same thing was going on in the trenches of the American soldiers and the British soldiers and the French soldiers. They were all in the same nonsense, right? And they were all trying to make sense of it at the same time. And it's these soldiers that are living the reality. They're going through this reality, and they're just concerned with, where am I going to get food to eat? That's why they have to rob a farmer, to get good food. They're just concerned with, how am I going to take care of my brother that's next to me, and how am I going to keep him from dying? And it's very personal in that way. It's very in the trenches, literally.
It's the same thing in Letters to Iwo Jima. Shows you the side of the Japanese and what motivates them, why they do what they do.
That's a perfect example of a movie that's similar to this, because we're not used to seeing the Japanese perspective, and Clint Eastwood did such a great job in that movie of showing you what it was like on Iwo Jima, what it was like for these Japanese soldiers. It made them human. It made them easy to identify with, because they weren't monsters. They were just young men who were being told to do this and do that, and you sympathize with them. We can kind of see things through their world, which we may never know. We may never be able to identify. I can't speak German, but I can identify with these characters, with Paul's character and what he has to go through in the trenches, and just how painful it would be to see your best friends all around you dying, and wondering, am I ever going to live again? And even if I get out of this thing, is my life ever going to be the same, right? Is it ever going to be what it was before, because of all these things that I've seen?
What I like about it is It's very raw. Like, there was no music when the guy stabbed himself in the...
No.
It's just gonna show you a bunch of very raw scenes.
It is raw.
And it's up to you to feel how you want to feel. It was monotonic.
Didn't he lose part of his leg? And so he knew that he would not be a marshal now. His goal was to advance, in the army. And now he knows that's not going to happen. He doesn't want to go home and just sit on a chair, with one leg. So he knows that his dream is over. His thought is, I would rather be dead. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Now, didn't you just feel anger and frustration when you see them all in the bunks? They're all sleeping, and the war's basically over. And then the guy comes in and he wakes them up. It's like, we're going to the front.
Oh yeah.
Get up, get ready. We're going to the front. I would be so angry if I was them. I'd be like, why? This is over. The frustration in that scene, I felt it.
His reason was, we can either go home losers or we can die for our country. But he didn't do it. But he didn't die. If he died along with this man, I would probably buy it. I would probably, okay, sure. So, what was he trying to do?
No, you can go die for our country. I'm going to sit up here and watch.
They didn't have a choice. If you desert, they're gonna shoot you. And then Paul survived. The war is over. It's 11 o'clock. Ceasefire. And so the guy in front of him stops and then just walks out. And then there was another guy behind him.
Right at the moment that the alarm sounds and the war's over, he's pierced through the heart.
A tragically satisfying ending.
Yeah.
In Saving Private Ryan, this is worth it because Ryan got saved in the end.
Right.
But All Quiet is just so stupid. I was pissed. What does the title mean?
The end of the war. It's all quiet now. You see a very young boy, basically, who's been tasked to go and find the dog tags, right? It's just scenes like that where you're like, these are just kids, and they're being put in this situation. They're looking at death all around them, and I can't even imagine, my son or kids that age going through these things. So
I'm going to talk about the first act because that was so well executed. It shows German soldiers undressing dead bodies.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. They showed you every step of the process, from it being on a dead man in the mud to being on another man going into battle again. It's not ending, it's just continuing. It just shows you that the cycle of death